Beyond survival, redefining the standard of indoor cat care. The decision to keep a cat exclusively indoors is often made with the best intentions, rooted in a desire to protect a cherished companion from the manifest dangers of the outside world. While this choice effectively shields them from traffic, predators, and certain infectious diseases, it simultaneously gives rise to a critical and pervasive mistake: the assumption that a safe environment is inherently a sufficient one. This report is predicated on a more demanding standard of care, one that moves beyond mere survival and aims for a state of comprehensive well-being. It addresses the indoor cat paradox: the very safety and predictability of the home can create a unique set of insidious risks, including chronic stress, obesity, behavioral pathologies, and a host of preventable diseases born from a lifestyle that is fundamentally at odds with the cat's innate biological and psychological nature. This document serves as a definitive guide for the dedicated feline guardian, detailing the most critical errors in indoor cat care. It is structured into 6 core sections, each exploring a distinct domain of feline well-being: medical stewardship, nutrition, sanitation, environmental safety, behavioral enrichment, and social dynamics. These areas are deeply interconnected. A mistake in one domain, such as providing an unenriched environment, will inevitably cascade, impacting a cat's physical health and social behavior. By understanding the profound reasoning behind why these errors are so detrimental, grounded in veterinary science and feline ethology, a guardian can move from being a simple caretaker to a proactive steward of their cat's health, transforming the home from a place of confinement into a true sanctuary where a feline can thrive. Section 1: The Non-Negotiables of Feline Health, Proactive Medical Stewardship. The most fundamental and often irreversible mistakes in feline care occur in the realm of medical management. The overarching error is a reactive approach to health, waiting for overt signs of illness in a species that has evolutionarily perfected the art of concealing vulnerability. Proactive medical stewardship is not an option, it is the bedrock of responsible indoor cat ownership. The fallacy of the healthy-looking cat, skipping annual wellness exams. A cat that appears healthy can be dangerously ill. This is not an exaggeration but a biological fact rooted in the cat's dual nature as both predator and prey. In the wild, any sign of weakness invites predation. Consequently, cats are masters at hiding pain, discomfort, and sickness. An owner may not notice anything is wrong until a disease has become advanced, at which point treatment becomes significantly more difficult, invasive, costly, and less likely to be successful. 1.3 Ignoring the mouth, the silent epidemic of dental disease. Neglecting a cat's dental health is one of the most frequent and consequential mistakes made by owners. Periodontal disease is rampant in the domestic cat population, particularly among indoor cats, and it is far more than a cosmetic issue of bad breath. The process begins with plaque buildup, which hardens into tartar. This leads to gingivitis, inflammation of the gums, and, if left untreated, progresses to periodontitis, a destructive process that damages the supporting structures of the teeth, leading to severe pain, abscesses, and tooth loss. The consequences extend beyond the mouth. The oral cavity is home to hundreds of bacteria. In a diseased mouth, this bacteria can easily enter the bloodstream through inflamed gums, a process known as bacteremia. This can seed infections in other parts of the body, potentially impacting the heart, kidneys, and liver. Scientific evidence suggests house cats are more likely to develop periodontal disease than their wild counterparts who hunt for a living. Avoiding this silent epidemic requires a two-pronged approach: regular home care, such as brushing the cat's teeth, and periodic professional dental cleanings performed under general anesthesia by a veterinarian. 1.4 Misinterpreting critical symptoms, normalizing vomiting and behavioral shifts. A dangerous misconception that has taken root among many cat owners is that it is normal for a cat to vomit regularly. While an occasional hairball is to be expected, frequent vomiting, for instance, once a week or more, is a significant red flag that should never be ignored. This is not a normal cat behavior, it is a clinical sign of an underlying problem. The list of potential causes is long and serious, ranging from food intolerances and inflammatory bowel disease, IBD, to systemic illnesses like pancreatitis, hyperthyroidism, kidney failure, or even heart disease and cancer. To dismiss regular vomiting as just what cats do is to risk allowing a treatable condition to progress to a life-threatening one. This principle extends to all sudden or significant changes in behavior. Because cats are so adept at hiding illness, subtle shifts in their routine are often the first and sometimes only indication that something is medically wrong. A cat that suddenly begins hiding, becomes more vocal, exhibits a change in appetite or water consumption, or starts eliminating outside the litter box is not acting funny or being spiteful. These are potential signs of distress. When faced with inappropriate elimination, for example, a common but grave error is to interpret the behavior as an act of spite or rebellion. This anthropomorphic view overlooks the reality that house soiling is almost invariably a cat's communication of a deeper problem. The first step in any such case must be a veterinary examination to rule out a host of medical causes, from painful urinary tract infections or bladder stones to debilitating arthritis that makes climbing into a litter box an agonizing ordeal. Punishing a cat for soiling can be equivalent to punishing it for exhibiting a symptom of a painful, undiagnosed disease. Ignoring these behavioral alarms is a critical mistake that closes the window for early intervention. Section 2: Fueling the Obligate Carnivore, Critical Errors in Feline Nutrition and Hydration. The modern indoor cat's diet is often the source of its most significant chronic health problems. A series of common but critical mistakes in feeding practices directly contradict the fundamental biology of the feline, leading to a cascade of preventable diseases like obesity, diabetes, and kidney failure. 2.1 Ignoring biology, feeding a high-carbohydrate, plant-based diet. The single most important fact to understand about feline nutrition is that cats are obligate carnivores. This is not a dietary preference, it is a biological mandate. Their entire metabolic system is designed to process and derive energy and essential nutrients, such as taurine and certain vitamins, exclusively from animal-based proteins and fats. They lack the specific metabolic pathways to efficiently process carbohydrates. A critical error is feeding a diet that ignores this biological reality. Many commercial dry cat foods, particularly cheaper formulations, are heavily reliant on plant-based proteins, like corn gluten meal or soy, and are high in carbohydrates, which act as inexpensive binders and fillers. Feeding such a diet is metabolically inappropriate for a cat. The high carbohydrate load can overwhelm their system, contributing directly to the development of obesity and feline diabetes, a serious endocrine disease that often requires lifelong management with insulin injections. Choosing a high-quality, meat-based diet is not a luxury, it is a foundational requirement for feline health. 2.2 The Dehydration Machine, The Dangers of an All-Dry Food Diet. In the wild, a cat's prey, a mouse or bird, is composed of approximately 70% water. This is how cats evolved to obtain the majority of their hydration. As a species that originated in arid desert environments, they have a naturally low thirst drive and do not instinctively drink enough water to compensate for a moisture-deficient diet. This brings us to one of the most detrimental and widespread feeding practices, the exclusive use of dry kibble. Dry food contains only about 10% moisture. A cat fed an all-dry food diet exists in a state of chronic, low-level dehydration, even if it has access to a water bowl. This lack of adequate moisture intake is a primary contributing factor to a host of serious urinary tract diseases. The urine becomes highly concentrated, which promotes the formation of painful crystals and stones in the bladder. In male cats, these crystals can lead to a complete urethral obstruction, a life-threatening medical emergency that can cause acute kidney failure and death within 24 to 48 hours if not treated immediately. Furthermore, this chronic dehydration places immense, constant strain on the kidneys, and is considered a major factor in the development of chronic kidney disease, CKD, one of the leading causes of mortality in senior cats. Incorporating high-moisture wet food into a cat's daily diet is a critical, non-negotiable strategy to ensure proper hydration and protect urinary and renal health. 2.3 Killing with Kindness, The Epidemic of Overfeeding and Obesity. Obesity in indoor cats has reached epidemic proportions, with estimates suggesting that up to 60% of cats in the United States are overweight or obese. This is not a simple cosmetic issue, it is a serious metabolic disease that drastically compromises both quality and length of life. The primary driver of this epidemic is the practice of free feeding. Leaving a bowl of calorie-dense dry food available for the cat to eat at will, supplemented by an overabundance of treats. The health consequences of excess weight are severe and wide-ranging. Obesity significantly increases a cat's risk of developing type 2 diabetes, painful arthritis that limits mobility and quality of life, heart disease, high blood pressure, and hepatic lipidosis, a potentially fatal liver condition. Studies have shown that cats maintained at a healthy weight can live nearly 2 years longer than their overweight counterparts. Preventing obesity is far easier than treating it. The critical intervention is to abandon free feeding in favor of portion-controlled, measured meals given 2 or 3 times a day. Owners must follow the feeding guidelines on the food packaging as a starting point, adjust for their cat's specific age and activity level, and consult their veterinarian for precise caloric recommendations. Treats should be given sparingly and their calories must be factored into the cat's total daily intake. 2.4 Environmental and behavioral mistakes in feeding. Beyond what is fed, how and where it is provided can also constitute critical mistakes. Many owners, for instance, place food and water bowls directly next to each other. This common practice violates a cat's natural instinct to avoid drinking water near a food source, or a kill, as the water could be contaminated. This placement can actively discourage a cat from drinking, further exacerbating the dehydration issues associated with dry food diets. To encourage hydration, water sources should be separated from food, kept scrupulously clean, and made appealing. Many cats have a strong preference for fresh, moving water over a stagnant bowl. Investing in a pet water fountain can significantly increase a cat's water intake and is a valuable tool for promoting urinary health. Other mistakes in this domain include making sudden changes to a cat's diet, which can cause gastrointestinal upset. New foods should always be introduced gradually over the course of a week or more. Additionally, cat food must be stored correctly. Kibble left in an unsealed bag or decanted into a non-airtight container can go stale or rancid, losing its nutritional value and potentially becoming unpalatable or harmful. The common practice of free-feeding a low-quality dry kibble represents a nexus of critical errors. It is a trifecta of mistakes. The composition is biologically inappropriate due to high carbohydrate content, the lack of moisture contributes directly to chronic dehydration and the risk of urinary and kidney disease, and the method of delivery is a primary driver of the obesity epidemic and its associated comorbidities. Correcting this single, widespread habit by switching to portion-controlled meals of high-quality, high-moisture food has a disproportionately large and positive impact on a cat's long-term health. Section 3: The Sanctity of the Litter Box. Averting elimination crises. The litter box is far more than a simple toilet. In the world of an indoor cat, it is a critical piece of territorial infrastructure, a key indicator of physical and psychological health, and the epicenter of many of the most common and frustrating behavioral problems. Mistakes related to the litter box are a leading cause of cats being surrendered to shelters. Understanding and respecting the cat's stringent requirements for elimination is essential for a harmonious home and a healthy cat. 3.1 The Numbers Game: Incorrect Box Quantity and Location. A foundational error in litter box management is providing an insufficient number of boxes in the wrong locations. The universally accepted guideline among feline behavior experts is the N+1 rule. There should be at least one more litter box than the number of cats in the household. Therefore, a single cat home requires a minimum of 2 litter boxes. Crucially, it is not just the number of boxes but the number of locations that matters. Placing 3 boxes side by side in the laundry room is, from a cat's perspective, equivalent to having one large, undesirable bathroom. This arrangement fails to provide choice and does not resolve social conflict in a multi-cat home. Many cats have a natural preference for urinating and defecating in separate areas, making 2 distinct locations beneficial even for a single cat. The placement of these boxes is equally critical. They must be situated in quiet, low-traffic areas where the cat feels secure and has privacy. Placing a litter box next to a noisy washing machine or in a busy hallway can create anxiety and lead to avoidance. An egregious but common mistake is placing the litter box near the cat's food and water stations. Cats have a powerful, instinctual aversion to eliminating near their resources to avoid contamination, and this placement can cause them to refuse to use the box, eat, or drink. In a multi-cat household, the litter box is not just a toilet, it is a vital territorial resource. Cats often establish their own sub-territories within a home. Forcing a timid cat to run the gauntlet past a more assertive cat to reach the single, centralized litter box location is a recipe for conflict, stress, and house soiling. The N+1 rule is therefore not just about providing enough toilets, but about strategically distributing this key resource to de-escalate social tension and ensure every cat feels secure in its own territory. 3.2 Aversion and Preference: The Science of Substrate and Box Type. The physical characteristics of the litter box and its contents can make the difference between consistent use and chronic avoidance. The size of the box is paramount. It must be large enough for the cat to comfortably turn around and dig. The standard recommendation is a length of at least 1.5 times the length of the cat, from nose to the base of the tail. A tiny kitten will require a tray with low sides for easy access, while a large adult cat needs a spacious container. Many owners opt for covered or hooded litter boxes, believing they contain odor and are more sightly. However, from a cat's perspective, these can feel like a cramped, dark trap that concentrates unpleasant ammonia smells, leading many cats to reject them. The litter itself is the most important variable. Cats have sensitive paws and an incredibly acute sense of smell. The vast majority of cats show a strong, innate preference for a substrate that mimics the sand or soft earth they would use in nature, a fine-grained, soft, unscented, clumping litter. Litters made from hard pellets, wood or recycled paper, or sharp crystals are often uncomfortable for cats to stand on and are a frequent cause of litter box aversion. The most common mistake in this area is choosing a litter based on human preference for scent. Litters with added perfumes like lavender or citrus may be pleasant to the human nose, but they are an olfactory assault to a cat and a primary reason for rejection. Similarly, many cats dislike plastic litter box liners, which can snag their claws. 3.3 The Unflushed Toilet: The Consequences of Poor Hygiene. Cats are fastidiously clean animals. A dirty litter box is the feline equivalent of a constantly unflushed public toilet, and it is one of the most common and easily rectified reasons for a cat to begin soiling elsewhere in the house. The standard for hygiene is uncompromising. The litter box must be scooped of all waste at least once a day, with twice daily scooping being ideal. The entire box should be emptied, washed with a mild, unscented soap, and refilled with fresh litter at least once a week. Failure to maintain this level of cleanliness can have consequences beyond behavioral avoidance. A cat forced to use a filthy box may develop an aversion to it, or it may begin to hold its urine for extended periods to avoid the unpleasant experience. This can lead to stress and increase the risk of developing painful urinary tract infections, UTIs, or other bladder conditions. The cleanliness of the litter box is a direct reflection of the guardian's commitment to the cat's physical and psychological health. Section 4. Creating a safe haven: Mitigating the hidden dangers of the home. The modern home, while a shelter from outdoor perils, is filled with an array of hidden dangers that can be toxic, injurious, or fatal to a curious indoor cat. A critical mistake is underestimating a cat's innate drive to explore, climb, and chew, combined with a lack of awareness of what constitutes a household hazard from a feline perspective. Comprehensive cat-proofing is not a one-time task for kittens but an ongoing state of vigilance. 4.1 Botanical Killers: Toxic Plants and Flowers. Many of the most popular houseplants and decorative floral bouquets are potent poisons for cats. The most infamous and dangerous among these are lilies of the lilium, e.g., Easter, stargazer, tiger, and Hemerocallis, daylily, species. For these plants, every part is toxic: the petals, leaves, stem, pollen, and even the water in the vase. The ingestion of a minuscule amount can lead to acute, irreversible kidney failure and death. The presence of these lilies in a home with a cat is an unacceptable risk. The danger does not end with lilies. A long list of common plants can cause severe illness, including sago palms, which cause liver failure, azaleas, rhododendrons, daffodils, tulips, and English ivy. Even plants not considered lethally toxic, like peace lilies or calla lilies, contain oxalate crystals that can cause intense oral pain and gastrointestinal upset. Before bringing any new plant or flower arrangement into the home, a guardian must consult a reliable toxic plant database, such as the one maintained by the ASPCA. 4.2 The Medicine Cabinet and Kitchen: Human Foods and Drugs. The human pharmacy and pantry are minefields of feline toxins. A leading cause of pet poisoning is the well-intentioned but catastrophic administration of human medications to a cat. Common over-the-counter pain relievers are particularly dangerous. Non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, NSAIDs, like ibuprofen, Advil, and naproxen, Aleve, can cause severe stomach ulcers and kidney failure. Acetaminophen, Tylenol, is even more perilous. A single tablet can be fatal to a cat, causing destruction of red blood cells, methemoglobinemia, and liver failure. Many human prescription medications, such as antidepressants or ADHD drugs, are also highly toxic. All human and veterinary medications must be stored securely in cat-proof cabinets. The kitchen also presents numerous hazards. Foods that are staples for humans can be toxic to cats. The allium family of plants, including onions, garlic, chives, and leeks, can damage a cat's red blood cells, leading to life-threatening anemia. Other dangerous foods include chocolate and caffeine, which cause neurologic and cardiac stimulation, grapes and raisins, which can cause kidney failure, and the artificial sweetener xylitol, which is found in a growing number of products from chewing gum to peanut butter and can cause hypoglycemia and liver failure. It is also a common myth that cats should drink milk. Most adult cats are lactose intolerant, and dairy products will cause gastrointestinal upset. 4.3 Invisible threats, chemicals, cleaners, and essential oils. Some of the most insidious household dangers are airborne or topical. Essential oils have become increasingly popular for aromatherapy and cleaning, but they represent a significant and often misunderstood threat to cats. Felines lack specific liver enzymes, glucuronyltransferase, necessary to metabolize the compounds found in many essential oils, particularly phenols. This makes them highly susceptible to toxicity, whether the oil is ingested, absorbed through the skin, or simply inhaled from a passive diffuser. The oil particles can settle on the cat's fur, only to be ingested later during grooming. Oils like tea tree, peppermint, citrus, and pine are particularly dangerous and can cause symptoms ranging from drooling and vomiting to respiratory distress, tremors, and liver failure. Standard household cleaning products also pose a risk. Concentrated cleaners can cause chemical burns if contacted directly. More subtly, residues from floor cleaners, especially those containing insecticides, can be picked up on a cat's paws and ingested during grooming, leading to long-term health issues. A particularly critical error is the use of pyrethroid-based topical flea treatments intended for dogs on a cat. These chemicals are highly neurotoxic to felines and can cause severe tremors, seizures, and death. Never use a product on a cat that is not specifically labeled for feline use. 4.4 Physical and mechanical hazards. A cat's playful nature can lead it into dangerous situations with common household items. Linear foreign bodies, string, yarn, ribbon, dental floss, hair ties, and rubber bands are exceptionally hazardous. When a cat swallows such an object, one end can become anchored in the digestive tract while the rest of the intestine tries to move it alone. This can cause the intestines to bunch up on themselves like an accordion, a process called plication, which can quickly lead to perforation, sepsis, and death without emergency surgery. Other physical hazards abound. Electrical cords are a tempting target for chewing, especially for kittens, and can result in severe oral burns or fatal electrocution. Open windows, unscreened balconies, and upper-story decks pose a serious fall risk, a phenomenon known as high-rise syndrome. Contrary to popular belief, cats do not always land on their feet, and falls can result in catastrophic injuries. The sheer volume of potential hazards necessitates a systematic approach. The following table organizes the most critical dangers, stratifying them by risk and providing clear, non-negotiable actions for the guardian. It transforms a scattered list of don'ts into a functional, life-saving reference tool. A cat's primary method of staying clean: grooming, is also a primary mechanism for self-poisoning. A cat need not intentionally eat a toxin to be poisoned. It can walk across a floor treated with a harsh chemical, get pollen from a lily on its coat, or have essential oil particles from a diffuser settle on its fur. Later, during its meticulous grooming routine, it will ingest these toxins. This reality dramatically expands the scope of cat-proofing. The danger zone is not just what a cat might chew on, but any surface it can touch. The choice of cleaning products, therefore, becomes a critical health decision. Respecting a cat's social boundaries is paramount. The golden rule of feline social interaction is to let the cat initiate contact and control the duration of the encounter. An owner who misinterprets a cat's desire for solitude as aloofness or rejection, and then tries to force affection, becomes an unpredictable source of stress. This can lead to a cat that is constantly on edge, hiding, or even resorting to defensive aggression to make its point. Learning to read subtle feline body language, the slow blink of contentment, the ear position, the tail twitch of agitation, is essential for building a relationship based on mutual respect rather than forced compliance. 6.3. The complexities of the multi-cat household. The assumption that two cats will automatically become friends is a setup for failure. While some cats form strong affiliative bonds, many simply learn to tolerate each other, coexisting by carefully dividing the territory and resources of the home. As cats mature, they often establish distinct sub-territories, preferring to spend their time in certain areas of the house. The most critical mistake in managing a multi-cat household is resource centralization. Placing all the food bowls in the kitchen, all the litter boxes in the laundry room, and the only cat tree in the lounge creates choke points. This environmental design forces competition. A more confident or assertive cat can easily guard these centralized resources, blocking a more timid cat's access to food, water, or a place to eliminate. This resource guarding is a major source of intercat conflict and chronic stress for the victim, which can manifest as malnourishment, dehydration, illness, and house soiling because the cat is too fearful to access the litter box. The key to a harmonious multi-cat home is not just the quantity of resources, but their strategic dispersal. The principle is to create an environment of abundance by duplicating and distributing all key resources: food stations, water bowls, litter boxes, scratching posts, beds, and high perches throughout the various subterritories of the home. This allows cats to meet all their essential needs without having to cross into another cat's perceived territory or engage in conflict. It enables them to live peaceful, separate but equal lives within the same physical space. Conclusion: the integrated approach to feline well-being. The critical mistakes detailed in this report are not isolated failures but are nodes in a complex, interconnected web of cause and effect that defines an indoor cat's quality of life. An error in one domain invariably ripples through the others, creating a cascade of negative consequences.